All right, guys, welcome once again to another episode of a lecture. And today we are going to be looking at number three, structural software application, and we're going to be dealing with Protastructure. All right, so we're going to be looking at Protastructure, how you can use Protastructure for your structural design. All right, but before we start, this tutorial is basically for educational purpose only. And if you want to advance your skill in design, in structural design, you can also contact me personally, privately. You can use the app. You can send direct message. You can always get through to me if you have any questions too. And also, if you have designs you want to do, you can also contact me. This is strictly for only people who have interest in design and people who are already in school, not for people who are not in school. You cannot become a structural engineer, you cannot become a structural designer if you don't know the basic principles from elementary. Okay, so you can't just stand up and say, okay, come on, I can design the structure. No, come on, you need to start somewhere. You need to understand the design philosophy. You need to understand the elementary aspect of design from one before you can get to 10 and you can get to 100. So this basically is for educational purpose only. And then in our tutorial, we decide to use a very simple, design, a very simple project, just to make it easy for beginners, for students, people who want to learn, to get the step-by-step procedure to doing your structural design. Okay, so first, before you start, uh, you will definitely be given an architectural design. That is the first thing, and you have to carefully study your architectural design so you can do a proper floor arrangement. I'm talking about the paneling of your slab and the positioning of your columns, your beams, and the rest of the thing. So, number one in our product structure tutorial is general floor arrangement, paneling floor slabs. Okay, that is one very important aspect of it before you even begin. You should know how to arrange your floor, how to position your column, how do you want the floor arrangement to be, how do you want the beam configuration to be, how do you want the slab configuration to be. You need to decide that first. So you can do this with AutoCAD. It's more preferable when you have the architectural design. Take it to your AutoCAD, application. Do your paneling there, and you can move on. All right. So first, we're going to be starting with general floor arrangement, paneling floor slab, before we now go into importing the panel slab to your product structure, so you can start your design. All right. So we are going to open. Let's open our AutoCAD. We're going to still be using the design we've been using for the past few days in our design classes. So we're going to be using that still. So just give it a little time. Okay, so this is ready. I will quickly open our design. I think we have this. This is what we'll be using over time. I don't need this. Let me get rid of this. All right, so this is the design we're going to use. Okay, so for the purpose of this lecture, I'm going to duplicate this, and I will be having the ground floor and the first floor having similar room configuration. Okay, just like you're saying. So I'm going to be calling this, let me just pick this. I will call this ground floor. Okay, so this will be my ground floor and this will be my first floor. So it's the same thing I'm having below, I'm having above. Okay, just for the purpose of this lecture, so I don't bring in complicated stuff. So let's start with something very simple so it will be easy to understand. So this is my ground floor, okay, and this is my first floor, okay. I can decide to turn this to a room. I can make this a room, I think, or a study area. I can make this a study area, but let's just leave it as it is first for the purpose of this training. All right, so the first thing you need to do is you have to panel it, okay? And when you're paneling with the current floor, putting in mind the configuration of the next floor. But for our sake here, it's going to be very simple because the same thing we have below is the same thing we have above. Okay. So the first stage is go back to your layer property manager. Okay, mine is already active here. I'm going to be creating extra layers. I'm going to call this column. I call this column. I'm going to be giving it a red color. Then the line thickness, let me take this to, let me make it bold a little so we can see. All right, so that is that for that. Then the next thing is I'm going to create another one. I'm going to call this grid line. This is grid line. I'm calling this grid line. Let me give it, what color should I give to this? Okay, let me give it this color. Okay, magenta. Let me give it magenta and line thickness should be 13. 13 is okay. All right, so the next thing again is I'm going to create another one. I will call this beam, beam line. Okay, my beam line is going to have blue color and the thickness is going to be a little bit bold so we can differentiate it. All right, so you need to quickly do these three things. It's very important to do these quick three things as fast as possible. Okay, very important, very important. All right, so when you finish, you just escape from there. All right, so I'm gonna position this. They have to flow together. So let me select this, move. I want them to follow. Okay, this is not necessary first for now. Okay, since I'm not having different floor configuration for the first floor, let me leave that for now. So first is we need to activate the grid line layer, which is active now. The grid line layer is active. All right, so I'm going to take you to a construction line. Construction line. This is what you're going to use to create your grids and also use this to do your paneling. Okay, so I pick construction line. Then I'm going to start here. Don't forget when you're doing your structural design, your dimensions should be center to center of your block thickness. Okay, whatever wall thickness you're using, the dimension should flow from center to center. That's the requirement, irrespective of whatever kind of the wall thickness you're using, or whatever you're using for your design. The your line must always be center to center. So my grid is going to be running at the center of the walls. Okay. So don't forget, I just pick this, then hold down your control key and right click. When you hold down your control key and right click, you see different options for your snapping. Okay. So I say meet between 2 points. Meet between 2 points. I need it between here and here. I need a line. You can see the line is active. So activate your auto so you can have straight vertical line. That is done. I can also switch it to the other. Okay, no, that will not work. That will not work. So escape. I have established the first line. I do the same thing, right click while pressing my control key, meet between 2 points. I need a line here between this and this. Good. Okay. So I'm going to be doing that for all my major wall lines, okay, where I'm considering to put my beams. I will be doing the same thing for all of it. Meet between 2 points. Okay. Do the same thing again. Meet between 2 points. Between here and here, I need a center line. Where again? Where again? Where again? Where again? Okay, yeah. Meet between 2 points. Here and here, I got my center line. Okay. Then for the staircase area, I'm gonna do the same thing. Meet between 2 points. Okay, then finally here, I'm gonna have the same thing made between 2 points. All right, I think I have, okay, now left with this. I still have one here made between 2 points. All right, so this is perfect. Okay, very perfect. Okay, so the next thing I'm going to be doing now, if we had a different floor, we will need to reference this with this so we know where our lines are running, so we can also be careful with the way we are placing our, you know, the way we are placing our columns, so we don't have to put columns where it's going to affect the building it's going to affect the configuration of the next floor. Most people don't know this. A lot of people have issues in paneling because sometimes your column based on the configuration of the next floor. Your columns from your ground floor have issues flowing through the first floor. Okay, let's say I'm designing for two floors with different room configuration. I have to be very careful with the way I'm placing my columns, the way I'm placing my beams and the rest of it, especially columns. Columns very important. Okay. All right, so quickly, I am done with this. I've been able to create this grid. Okay, this grid have been created. I don't want this grid looking this crazy, so I can just pick a rectangle tool. Just use your initiative from somewhere here. You click just to define the boundaries of the grid. Shouldn't go too far. Pick your trim tool and then trim every other aspect of the grid line that is not important to you. Okay, just take this off. Take this off. Okay, you can just delete them thereafter. Can delete them, delete this, it's off. Okay, so we have our grids defined. First, you don't necessarily have to start putting the alphabet or the numbers. You don't need this for now. Okay, the software we are going to be using is going to do that for us. All right, so I haven't done this. The next thing is activate your column layer. I activate my column layer. I pick my column. I have already decided, since this is a one floor, based on my experience and my knowledge of structural design, I have already decided that, okay, fine, I'm going to be using 225 by 225 for my column. But if maybe in the course of design I discover that 225 doesn't work, I can increase it in the software. But for this purpose, I'm using 225. So when you click, you type 225, comma 225, enter. So you have this, okay? So I will now select this, right click and say copy selection. Now I want to pick it from the center point, okay? I want to pick it from center point. And it's important that if you want to activate this, if you want to achieve this, I'll just come here, trace this down because my object snap is on. The two object snaps are on. So I can just snap from this and I can get the center. You'll see it snapping at the center. Just come here again. You see the center being snapped there. Okay. That's the reference point. So I will pick it at that reference point. Deactivate my auto mode. Then go straight to where I want to position each of the columns. As simple as it looks, it's not really simple. Ah, I forgot to run a grid here. I'm going to do that later. Okay, this is very important. Okay, all right, and okay, so this is not all because I need a column here. I need two columns here, but I didn't run that grid, so I need to run this grid here. Okay, so quickly I can do two things. I can just come here, right click, copy selection. Then I can come here, snap from the center to pick this, then take it straight there and I put it there. That is good. So always make sure you activate midpoint. It's very important. To activate midpoint, just come in here, right click, and select your snapping option, the option you need. Just come here and snap it. All right, so I haven't done that. I will quickly come again, pick this column, copy selection. I pick from here. I give to this guy. I give to this guy, and I give to this guy. Okay. So I think that's basically everything I need. Yeah, this is how I want my paneling to look like. Okay. So after this, what else am I gonna be doing? Okay, fine, fine. Now, based on my experience over time, it may happen like, okay, let me not go here now. Let me just quickly bring out the beam so we can see the configuration of the general floor arrangement. So let me go quickly, pick a beam. Good. Now pick your rectangle tool. Just come at each midpoints to define the floor areas, one after the other, one after the other. I'm defining each of them. from their center point, one after the other. Okay, one after the other. So I'm left with this now. Okay, so this will now come from here to this point. So I was trying to say something. You know, if you're a structural designer, you've done series of designs, you discover that trying to design this, using, let's say, a floor thickness of 150 will stand to fail deflection, except you have to apply some other principles, okay? Because of the floor area. The floor area actually looks large. So most times what I advise when you're having such a large floor areas and you don't want to increase the thickness of the floor, or you don't want to use a different type of slab configuration, let's say maybe rib slab or waffle slab, what I often advise people do is, sorry, let me put this proper. Let me take that off and put another one. I didn't get that perfectly. What I often advise people is when you have situations like this, you don't just leave this open because this is a large floor area, a very large floor area. So it's often important that you create another beam here. Most time your client may say, I don't want to have a beam there, you know. But in situations like this where maybe your client is not ready to use a rib slab for this, for this area, you can use what we call conceal beam, but this will not be completely concealed. What I do basically for me, depending on the span I'm dealing with, what I do basically is I use a drop beam of 300. A drop beam of 300. That's 150 in the slab and 150 out. The reason is if I have a 150 out, at the end of the day, you're gonna do finishing for the soffit of the floor. You're gonna put POP and the rest of the things. So definitely that will be taken care of. Okay. Then the breadth of my beam, sometimes I use 400. So if in Protastructure there is that provision for you, so you can actually use beams like this, okay, just to reduce in fact, just to take care of deflection for this floor area, okay. So, but I'll just take this off first, so I don't bring much confusion in. All right, so having done this, we've successfully paneled our slab. We've successfully paneled our building. The general floor arrangement has been achieved. So we need to pick this and keep it aside so we can know what we're doing. So you select this, you select the column, select okay. Okay, let's do this. Let's do this quickly. I'm going to deactivate every other layer. Okay. If I was using a more recent version of AutoCAD, I can do something very simple. I could just select similar. Similar will select everything that is under that layer. There is another thing I can do here, which is quick select. Okay, I can use quick select to get whatever I'm looking for, but I just want to exercise the usefulness of layer here. Okay, so I'll just quickly come here. I'm going to deactivate every other layer except grid line, columns, and beams. As the only layer I'm going to leave in place. Every other one I'm taking them off. Okay, good. I need to bring back my grid line. Where is it? Okay, good. So this is the only thing you have. So you select this, right click, move it. I don't need it there anymore. So I put it somewhere else. Okay. Then I can now come back, deactivate back all other layers. Sorry, I had to pass you through all this stress. It's good for beginners to pass through the stress like this. Okay. All right. So you see, everything comes back, but my general flow arrangement is outside. All right, so this is unique. You can quickly go back, bring out your dimension layer, and check this out, center to center dimensions for each of this. Okay, or you can use this. This is a quick dimension. Okay, quick dimension. Just click, right click, and take it outside and drop. Okay, do the same thing. Click here, click here, click here, right click, take it outside and drop. All right, do the same thing below. Right click, bring it outside and drop. So you have all the dimensions center to center. Okay, so this is simple. This looks simple. Of course, it's simple. It's simple for sure. So what I'm going to be doing next is this. I'm going to I'm going to take this off from here. Okay, I'm going to take it off from here. I'm going to take this to a different page. So I can just copy this, Control C, open a new page, Control V, drop it there. You will not see it, so you type Z, enter, A, enter, activate line weight so you can see it. Okay, so this is what we're going to be exporting to Protastructure. So when you bring it here, don't forget this is our stay area. Don't forget that. Don't forget that. So for your stay area, always mark it this way. Always mark it this way so you don't forget while paneling. Okay, you don't have to put any slab there. All right, so this is my stay area. So these are all the different panel: 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, so save this as a DXF file. Okay, save it as a DXF file. So I'll go to File, Save As. I'm going to save it on my desktop. Then I'm going to be using DXF. Then I'll call this tutorial 1. Okay, that's the name of this DXF file because this is what I'm going to be taking to Protastructure. Okay, so you save. Once you're done, you can close this. I don't want to save it again. You don't need to save it again. No. Then you come here. We don't need this either, but if we don't need this, so you can actually shut down. You can see shut down. Okay. So this is just basically how you can do your general flow arrangement. Save it as a PDF file. And then the next thing we are going to be looking at is okay, importing the DXF file into product. That's what we are going to be doing in our next class. Okay. All right. So if you've been able to do this, drop your comment, tell me how cool it was, and see you in the next class.